What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Gmia, and what we're going to be talking about right now is Isaiah Thomas and the Cavs. All right, now I've been getting a lot of questions about, Gmia, what do you think about what's going on with the Cavaliers season? Is LeBron James the best player in the NBA still? Why is it not reflecting with the actual team play? And it's very, very obvious. If you watch Cleveland Cavalier games, right? Since Isaiah Thomas has been back, and I know it's been spoken about on, several different outlets, Undisputed, ESPN, everywhere, it's very, very obvious if you watch basketball that you can't have a guy that's a liability on defense and just throws up. The dude he just shoots the ball from anywhere he's at. He was shooting the ball from his house the other day. Like, this dude just wakes up shooting. If you look at what's been happening, they benched him in the fourth quarter for their last win that they just got, and it's creating a lot of commotion, because the way that he's viewing himself, that's what the problem is. He's saying things like, greatness with his name in the sentence. I don't know exactly what's going on with him, and I'm not saying that a guy that's trying to get the best out of himself shouldn't be delusional about their skill set, but there's a limit. For instance, Kyrie Irving is a great player. He played with LeBron. They got the championship, all that stuff. We all know what happened. He got traded away, whatever. He didn't want to be there. All that good stuff, right? Kyrie Irving is way better than Isaiah Thomas. And I've never heard Kyrie speak like this. He's talking about, different comparisons, and I don't know what he's doing, but I will tell you this, though. The biggest thing that the Cavs have to do is get rid of this guy. See, they have to get rid of this guy, and LeBron needs one more piece. Because look, Kevin Love has already shown us, right, that in big games, he comes up really, really small. He's a great player when Isaiah Thomas is not involved. He's going to be a regular 20-10 guy, whatever like that. But they need one more piece. And the real issue about this overall situation, because to be honest, people like to see LeBron suffer just because he went to Miami and all that stuff like that, whatever. Okay, great. They want to compare him to Jordan, stuff like that. You got to understand this. Just please, when you have your criticism, you got to be fair. Michael Jordan had consistency with his team. I don't care about the Bill Cartwrights, the Paxton, and all that. They were interchangeable. What was the one constant that Michael Jordan had? And what was the one thing that he didn't have before he broke through? Scottie Pippen. Who has been LeBron James, Scottie Pippen since he's, for whatever? Because remember, once Scottie Pippen got drafted, that was consistent. LeBron hasn't really had a consistent number two player, since, I guess, the Miami days. When he went there and LeBron James and, whatever, it was LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. He hasn't really had a consistent number two player throughout the entirety of his career. You can't say that for Jordan. See, people don't understand. Consistency with good surroundings, it breeds success. So Michael Jordan had one of the greatest coaches of all time, which people argue because he had the greatest players in Phil Jackson. He had a consistent player who's one of the top 50 players. Whether you want to argue it or not, Scottie Pippen will lock you up on the defensive side. Dude was mad long. Like, bruh, let me just try to figure this out. Everybody wants to knock LeBron James, the guy that came out of high school. No real coach in his entire career. He had guys that could work, that should be at the supermarket being managers. Look at all of his coaches. None of his head coaches are none of his head coaches are real coaches, including Ty Lue right now. Ty Lue was just a clown that they put in just because he was getting along good with the players, and they fired the other coach and he got in, and then somehow, some way they pulled it out. He has nothing to do with coaching expertise that caused the Cavs to get anywhere. He's just a figurehead right now. I don't mean to knock people, but I got to be brutally honest, bro. If I'm the head coach of the Cavs, I don't want no credit. I just want to get paid because I got LeBron James. If I'm Phil Jackson, I don't want no credit. I just want rings because I got Michael Jordan. I got Kobe Bryant. I got Shaquille O'Neal. You see, the problem is people don't understand their limitations. For you to be a great coach, you got to take something out of nothing and create something. Phil Jackson had the greatest players, arguably, that ever played in the NBA. Whether you go Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Kobe, you could put any one of them. So when you're starting to compare them, you know what I'm saying, like with great coaches, I look at stuff like that. Me personally. You know what I'm saying? It's completely different. I don't know. You could put it however you want. But when you look at the comparison, this hurts LeBron with these losses and stuff that they're taking because he's never really had consistency. And that's the one thing that I don't hear people bring up. The consistency, even if you have that, remember, basketball is 5-on-5. So if you have 2 out of the 5 that are great players with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, you could interchange it. And then look, you're getting the #1 rebounder, probably, in my opinion, to ever play the game, in Dennis Rodman. At one point, you had Horace Grant. He was no slouch rebounding. You know, Bill Cartwright was mad old. You had Tony Kukoc. That dude was garbage, but he made some key shots. Listen, those guys are interchangeable. Even the coach, look at Steve Kerr, coaching the Golden State Warriors. Look, I'm not saying that these guys, you know, they weren't great players or what they did. Obviously, Steve Kerr, you know, he went to the Spurs, did the same thing. He was a great shooter. But those are pieces that can be interchanged. B.J. Armstrong and all that stuff like that. But Michael Jordan had his consistent piece. LeBron James' consistent piece right now is a 97-year-old Dwayne Wade. That's not fair to his legacy. And again, I'm not here to talk about fairness. When you look at LeBron James and everything that he's been able to accomplish, you can't knock him no matter. You can make any kind of excuse. Oh, Michael Jordan, he did go to 6 finals. He did do this. He got MVP. He did all that. He didn't do it by himself. And it's clear that he didn't do it. When did Michael Jordan come into the league? Was it 84? I'm not really sure. I can't remember. It's something like that, right? I don't know. I think it was like 84, though. You guys verify if I'm wrong or right. I don't know. Because, you know, I haven't spoken about this in such a long time, but I used to analyze what exactly was going on. And when I used to look on the field, because remember, even when Michael Jordan took his 2-year hiatus, I believe that 1 year, that was like the 1 year that Scottie Pippen had something written on his shoes. I think they got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, something like that. But they still went to the playoffs without Michael Jordan. They were, you know, whatever. They just couldn't get over the hump. It was obvious that they were missing something. He came back. They lost the first year, whatever. Then he came back, and then they won it again 3 times in a row. Whatever. The story is great. But you got to understand that the consistent piece throughout everything was Scottie Pippen. This guy, Isaiah Thomas, is not LeBron James, Scottie Pippen. This guy's a mop bucket. I don't want to say that, you know, I don't want to take away because the dude is an undersized NBA player. Muggsy Bogues was shorter, and you know, he was a pretty decent player. But you got to understand, you can't expect much from these guys because anybody in the league is shooting over him. He's a liability on defense, and then when he comes out and he's just shooting threes from Mars, it starts to make you look at it like, what exactly is going on right now? What is the real problem? And the problem is Isaiah Thomas. It's very, very clear. I don't know how they're going to get rid of him, but he's not going to be. And LeBron James is probably going to leave the Cavs this year. So I don't know which way, you know, the owner's going to go, Dan Gilbert, whatever he's going to do. I don't know which way they're going to go with it. But this guy is not getting picked up as some major superstar on any team because it doesn't make sense. You can't pay a guy exorbitant amounts of cash with his decision-making and his height in a game of... Look, I don't know what they're going to do with him, but his ego is way too wild for what they're expecting of him right now. And when I watch him play, I'm not going to make excuses for him and say he's still hurt, but he doesn't look like the same Isaiah Thomas that was balling out in Boston. And to be honest with you, I don't really see him staying in the league that much longer. Because if Cleveland gets rid of him, he's not... What is he going to do? Like, I don't know where he's going to do what he's doing. It's very, very unfortunate because if he would have stayed in Boston, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion because the younger Boston defense helped him. They kind of covered up his deficiencies until the playoffs came and LeBron James and them ran through him. But the defense was so strong, which they are still now, and they're young, they got those fresh legs, they were able to rotate and help out. It's not the same thing on the Cavaliers because they don't really have those good defensive players. So he's more of a liability than a positive on this team. And he dramatically affects Kevin Love. So what would you rather have, Kevin Love or Isaiah Thomas? It's a no-brainer. But again, when you talk about consistency and what LeBron James has never really had, that's one thing he hasn't had throughout his whole career, is consistency. So when, you know what I'm saying? Like, once they got Pippen, it was that way all through. If you gave me LeBron and Dwayne Wade for the rest of his career, if he stayed in Miami, and it was those two key pieces that always played every year, I like their chances against anybody, even Golden State. But you can't expect, you know what I'm saying? You can't expect diamonds out of turds. That's what this whole Boston trade was. How do you interchange Isaiah Thomas and, you know what I'm saying, Kyrie Irving? There's no comparison. Like, nobody's even going to question it. Like, who do you want? Only person that's taking Isaiah Thomas is himself. So this is what I'm saying. That's the major problem with the Cavaliers right now. And once they figure out how to put guys in and how to keep Isaiah Thomas as far away from the court as possible in certain quarters, just bench him. The Cavaliers will win more games in the East and be ready to go when it comes time, but they still need another piece for the finals. They're not beating the Golden State Warriors with this lineup. I don't care how great LeBron James is. It's not fair to him for them to have that three-headed monster over there. So it is what it is. The biggest thing that they have to do right now is they have to get rid of Isaiah Thomas. And until they can do that, they need to limit his minutes on the court because he drastically hurts the team. That's my opinion. I would love to hear what you guys and girls think. Until next time, one love.